everyone, that's Denise Jones. I am Rick Strom, and we start with the pettiness of the NBA once again, and mainly our opinions on what we think of so-called pettiness. Here's what occurred previously. Chris Paul scored a layup about 2 months ago against the Portland Trailblazers, and Damian Lillard, Dame Dollar, none too pleased whatsoever. So here's what he did at the conclusion of that game as time was winding down.
Why shouldn't he? What a game.
All right, I got two things. Firstly, I'm cool with him confronting him. Second, if you're gonna go for the ball, you better get it out of his hand.
I know, that's the only thing. And I feel like he came at him really strong. So when he came at him, his body was like assertive, it was strong, like he was sending a message. And he tried to reach in and just.
He just looked terrible, right? And Chris Paul looked better.
It didn't look terrible, it just looked childish.
It looked soft.
And it looked really soft.
Yeah, it looked like Charmin, as Kobe would say. So on top of that, that's nice. So on top of that, here's what else occurred. Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum spoke with ESPN about it, and here's what they had to say.
Going back to Houston, he's been in the league a long time. So I was just like, man, what type of player is that? What's that about? And he was like, y'all ain't playing defense. So I was like, all right. I tried to hit the ball out of his hand, and I ain't like it. Yeah. It's that simple, I ain't like it.
Just put it like this, ain't gonna be no more layups.
Okay.
Not if I'm around.
That's right, Lehigh's in the building. Okay, so here's what Damian Lillard told Chris Paul, and then we're gonna get into this. I just asked him, I said, what did you get out of that? Y'all wasn't guarding me, but we got back, there were two guys back. He was sprinting the court to get the layup, and CJ was chasing him. I just felt like in that situation, if you gotta go get the layup, what's the point of it? I think as far as sportsmanship goes and respect, if the roles were reversed, I don't think they would like it. And I would have to agree with that as well. When Damian Lillard is saying that, hey, if this were to happen and the Rockets were to do it to us.
Right.
I mean, I remember Ricky Davis, in order to get a triple-double, he went to the opposing basket, threw a layup on there, missed intentionally so he could have one more rebound.
Right.
Players were kind of pissed at him, rightfully so. So petty or not petty?
I mean, it's absolutely petty, but I feel he's right in the sense, and I agree with you. If the tables were turned, yes, Chris Paul would have been the one upset, but I don't think he would have reacted in the way that Dame did, and I think that's what makes the situation just a little awkward. Just playing devil's advocate here, yeah, they should have played more defense. Technically, if you want to, aside from sportsmanship.
Are you playing devil's advocate, or are you preaching right now with what you truly believe?
No, I'm playing devil's advocate.
Like if you don't play defense, then they should be allowed to score whatever they want.
No, I'm playing devil's advocate because when I played, yeah, there's sportsmanship. There's unwritten rules, which we've discussed in the past, that you just don't do. And did Chris Paul need to do that layup? Absolutely not. But at the same time, it's kind of just like that wake-up call that you need. And rather than retaliating in a way that's, I don't know, it doesn't send the right message. Retaliating in a way where you're trying to like scare him off or
Chris Paul's not gonna be scared.
Well, not scared, but you know what I'm saying, like just intimidate in some kind of way.
Childish.
Well, the goal was to intimidate. If Dame is gonna stand up
Dame?
to, yeah, from Dame.
I think it was just a way to inflict his will and show disrespect and just try to get even by getting the ball out of his hand. Which again, we're talking about like trying to get a basketball out of a grown man's hand here.
Right.
Like you know what Shaq would have done?
And they're sweaty, so the grip is like extra tight. It's not like it's first court. It's
like Ben Stiller. Like if you could take my luggage from my kung fu grip, then you could have it. What if I was a bombardier? Meet the parents. So my main point is, I don't think that this is, I think it depends on the player. Here's my own belief on this. I'm gonna open up the Pandora's box here. So if it is a bench player who averages 0.2 points per game,
right,
and he needs those 2 points, yam that. But if it's somebody like Chris Paul or Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, Ricky Davis in the past where he was even putting up 10 or 12 a game, 2 points over an 82-game season is gonna do nothing for somebody who continually gets the ball and like is in the top 50, let's say, in touches per game.
Right.
But if it's someone like, give me a bench player. Give me any bench player. Rasho Nesterovic, all right? If Nesterovic, who gets no playing time, is in there in garbage time and wants to go have a layup on the other rim and nobody's playing defense, cool. If it's somebody who literally touches the ball 90 times, not cool.
You don't think that then people would come at, or the opposing team would come at him and say, you know, this guy, first of all, he's a bench player, so why is he stepping up in the way that he is? Therefore,
What do you mean stepping up?
yeah, why is he making an unnecessary layup if his team is up? And because he has 0 points on his record.
Because the only time that he ever sees the court is in NBA 2K.
But don't you think as a bench?
Puts himself in. I don't care if I'm a 59 mom.
That's terrible. I'm saying like as a bench player, first of all, you're already riding off of that. He goes up to make a layup. That's not necessary. That's a blowout already. You don't think that he would be frowned upon even more?
1,000,000%. But my main point is, if you average 0.158 points per game,
you'd cut them more slack.
I would cut them more slack than somebody like Chris Paul. Chris Paul's been in the league for like what, 12 years already?
He's been in the league for a minute.
10 plus.
And he's an outstanding player. It's not somebody that, again, I don't agree with him making the layup. But if I'm playing devil's advocate and I'm not preaching,
all right.
Yeah, the Blazers should have stepped up and played a little more defense during the game so that they don't come into a situation, and mind you, it's the Rockets, so it's different.
Best team in the West.
It's very difficult. But at the same time, he shouldn't have. I don't think Dame should have got that frustrated.
Should have got that frustrated with Chris. With Chris Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah, I disagree. Chris Paul is a veteran. He knows better. He's been putting up like 25 points per game in his prime. He's still putting up buckets. He's with the Houston Rockets right now, who are the #1 team offensively. If it is a blowout, you don't need 2 more points.
I'm saying that they don't. I'm just saying I just don't agree with the way that Dame reacted because of the fact that he's just such a class act.
All right, now let me ask you a question then to follow up on what you just said.
Sure.
They meet in the playoffs?
Which, by the way, that would be, I was talking to somebody, that would be an amazing series.
It would be an amazing series, and not only that, the entire media that surrounds the Blazers and the Rockets, if they were to potentially meet, this is all that would be asked. And then potentially it would get under their skin, which would have a domino effect of those two going after each other offensively and defensively, and I'm cool with that as well.
But that's what the finals does. That's what playoffs does. Like it brings more. If it's a regular season game, I don't expect Dame to.
Depending on the series, like no one's gonna go after the Spurs because they're like the classic team. Some people view them as some what?
Class act.
Oh, okay.
What you think I said?
Something else?
Don't even tell me what I think you said, man.
I thought I was hearing like, not verbatim, like I'm a Lakers fan. F the Spurs.
No, the Spurs are a class act.
They are.
The Spurs are a class act.
But if you want like a juicy rivalry, not even a rivalry, if you want a juicy series and to make it that much more juicier, like instead of a Denny steak, you're getting like a Ruth Chris, that's exactly what they're doing for us.